We have a quorum. Agenda item number 1. The work plan of the Joint Subcommittee rather. Well, I'll go for the outline, see what's your view. In March, we'll discuss the park development and also the bylaws. We have been discussing that for 2 years, and it has not been completed. Another item in March is about the Lyric Theatre and the Artist Square development area. The update. And then we'll move on to discuss financial situation of the WKCD project and also the progress of the integrated basement and infrastructure works of WKCD district. Then in May, we'll also discuss the relocation supporting operational facilities in Tsim Sha Tsui Fire Station complex. In July, we discussed the update on the CQ Center, the update on Empress, and also the work of the consultation panel. That's roughly our work plan until July. Do members have any comments? Ms. Sidho. Many items are related to updates, and they are necessary. We go around in a year, and we ask them the same questions again. That's okay. But what about the training of manpower, liaison with the education sector, and also the district councils? Shall we take that up at a certain meeting? Last year, we tried to invite local people and the district councils to come along, but the meeting was aborted because few come along. I agree that we can strengthen our liaison in this regard, depending on the forms. We always say that that's not a special art zone. It should be connected with other stakeholders. The district council and the WKCDA should come together and discuss with us, and we should also be updated on the nurturing of talents. We have the CQ Center. Very soon. We also have the art and culture facilities. Where do the manpower come from? We should have the bodies ready to do all the promotion and other operational work. Yes, I think we may add one item on the agenda, so and we may, if need be, extend our meeting by half an hour. That may not be necessary. You want a whole day meeting? I noticed that in June there is no meeting scheduled. We may have one more meeting in June instead. Okay, let's check the schedule. Any other questions? I also want to listen to the views of the culture and arts sector. Last year, there were many stakeholders coming in the culture and art from the culture and arts sector. Now the facilities are being completed one by one, and we do need to discuss that. In fact, before we discuss with the administration, we can first discuss with the culture and arts sector before we discuss the consultation panel. All right, if you don't have any further comments on this, let us invite the WKCDA and also the HAB representatives into the room.
OK， 各位早晨。
Good morning. Welcome to today's meeting. This is the item integration and connectivity of the WKCD with its neighbouring districts. If I may invite representatives of the HAB and also the WKCDA to introduce a paper. We have received your paper earlier. Yes, thank you, Chairman. At the previous meeting of this joint subcommittee, members expressed interest that they wanted to know more about integration and connectivity between the WKCD and the neighbouring districts. In fact, the authority has consulted the various parties, including the HAC and also the Yaochimong District Council. In November, there was a TOP study, consultancy study started. Short, medium to long-term traffic and transport plans will be formulated. The paper has contained all such information. Mr. Lam of the WKCDA will introduce the paper with the aid of a PowerPoint, and there are WKCDA representatives answering your questions. Yes, good morning, members. About half a year ago, we came to report to members on a similar topic. This is an update in respect of the past 6 months. As said by the Permanent Secretary in the past few months, we met with the Yaochimong District Council and also task forces under the Harbourfront Commission and also tenant representatives on traffic and transport matters and connections. I would also like to update members on future infrastructure, including vehicular infrastructure and pedestrian infrastructure, and also the progress of the TOP consultancy study. First, on the future projects of the WKCDA. Now, the top side development of the Kowloon Station and also the express rail will soon be completed, and the users will move in. The residential units on top of Kowloon Station is a big project with a GFA of more than 1.1 million square meters, and together with our development, there will be a lot of users. And you can see that there will be substantial differences between now and the future. And there will be several major developments, and there will be traffic generated. We have done traffic studies in the past to analyze new traffic to be generated. In a study last year, we said that as at 2013, after the completion of the developments in the area, there will be an increase of about 2,000 to 4,000 PCUs in the morning and in the PM peak hours. Where do they come from? Where do these traffic come from? And there is a traffic model, and we estimate according to that traffic model, and it tells us that about 10% of traffic will come from Hong Kong Island. The major source of traffic is the north, and they cover Mei Fu, Kwai Chung, Tsuen Wan, Sha Tin. They account for about half of the traffic, and then the rest will come from Tseung Kwan O, Yaochimong, so on and so forth. If you add the first 3 rows together, you can see that more than 60% of the traffic or the trips will make use of the West Kowloon roads. Now, when the government did the traffic planning, one major concern was to disperse the traffic to the West Kowloon Speed Express roads. So you can see that there are a lot of government projects. You can see from the slides. Say there are some new items, including the one on the left, Scheme 1, 2, and Schemes 1, 2, and 3. They are improvement works to bring the traffic to West Kowloon Highway.
And on the right-hand side, apart from those mentioned, you can also see the depressed Austin Road West and Lin Cheung Road junction. The Austin Road West will be depressed, a few levels will be underground. So you can see that there will be several levels, and there will be a tunnel leading to West Kowloon, and there is also the Central Kowloon route, which will ease the traffic traveling from to East Kowloon on a long journey, and they will be diverted to Central Kowloon route. And in the district itself, the administration also has a number of improvement measures. For example, within the district, there will be an at-grade road constructed, and there will also be two lay-by at the two gates for loading and unloading. Afterwards, when all the infrastructure works have been completed, in the following slides, you will see traffic coming in and out of WKCD as highlighted in the red and blue lines. These will be bridges, highways, which connects the roads to Lin Cheung Road and then on to WKCD. And also, over here in Jordan, traffic can go via Jordan Road and Lin Cheung Road to WKCD, same as Chim Sa Tsui, and in the future, for traffic coming from Cheung Kwan O, East Kowloon, instead of relying on the road on the south side, they will use Central Kowloon route and also Lin Cheung Road to access WKCD. This is from Northwest NT. Again, there will be improvement works along Lin Cheung Road and Ah Cheung Road for accessing the WKCD. So there will be a number of entry points, including this underground Lin Cheung Road access, which is the main access, and there'll be a two-level access at Ah Cheung Road. And here, after relocation of the Canton Road fire station, there will be another underground access, and there'll be an underground a tunnel or an underground road highlighted in orange, which leads to different facilities on both sides of the district, including car park, loading and unloading area, or loading and unloading areas of performance venues. So that's about traffic. Let me come to talk about pedestrian facilities. Pedestrian planning in WKCD is a very important concept. It is also one of the major concepts of WKCD to separate pedestrians from traffic. And it's not just within WKCD. When the XRL terminus is completed, together with the superstructure in Kowloon station, the whole area will entail a concept of vehicle-free environment for the pedestrians. There will be subways and roads to separate pedestrians from traffic. So from Jordan Road here to this waterfront promenade in WKCD, you can see the whole area will have a vehicle-free concept, and vehicle pedestrian interface will be improved. Here, this as well, apart from the improvement around the area, for outside connectivity, you can see that on completion of the West Kowloon terminus of XRL, there will be a major platform and access to the WKCD will be easy. There won't be any traffic. On the east side, for Xishu Center, there is also another tunnel that goes from Austin Road to the basement of Xishu Center. So again, there won't be any traffic in between. The pedestrians can you can use the subway and then use the escalator to go up to the square and the whole district. On the west side, there will be a bridge connecting the district with the Elements shopping mall, and I'll show you some pictures in a moment. Again, with the use of the bridge, there won't be any vehicles, so it will be a very desirable environment for pedestrians in future. So I mentioned a number of pedestrian links in the district, and I'd like to report the progress of these links. For example, we have the Artist Square Bridge. This is M+, and next to it is a bridge. There will be an Artist Square, and nearby we have M+, we have Lyric Theatre, and hotel, office, residential units, and there'll be a square among them. And in the future, there will be a bridge connecting the district with Elements shopping mall, and also an escalator, and this is the landing point, which is a square. So in future it will be very convenient, and we hope that the bridge will be open in 2018. And this is the landing point. Elements will be in future will be here at the back, and one can go from that side to the square via this escalator or staircase. On the east side, as mentioned, there is the Austin Road underground pedestrian passage, and when Austin Road was constructed, space has already been reserved for WKCD, and will make use of the reserved space to create an underground pedestrian passage that connects the station directly to Xishu Center. It's aimed for completion in 2018, around the same time as the completion of Xishu Center. The whole passage will have a width of 10 meters at least, so it will be quite wide. Also, another infrastructure project was mentioned just now. It's now at the design stage. It's at Great Road near the Western Harbour Crossing is also important to WKCD, because for facilities like the park M+, and other facilities in the park, which will be completed earlier, they are all on the western side, so the road will be completed sooner in 2017, which can then serve the cultural facilities on that side. We're at the design stage, so these are the progress of the several projects at the moment. And as I said in the beginning, 2 months ago, We started the traffic operation plan in WKCD, and there will be a 24-month study covering 5 aspects: public transport, car park management, cycling provision, marine access, and traffic control and management. Apart from conducting the study, we also will look into implementation details, because different government departments and companies will be involved, and we need to discuss with them. And we hope that after completing the study within this year, we will then proceed to implementing the proposals next year. For example, for public transport, there is a general impression that West Kowloon Cultural District is not accessible and there is not sufficient public transport. In fact, apart from WKCD, at present, apart from several MTR stations such as Austin Road and Kowloon Station, there are also a number of PTIs in the area, and it's accessible by a number of bus routes and GMB routes. For example, there is a tunnel near Kowloon Station, and also PTI, and some serving some 60+ bus routes and 5 GMB routes. So we have quite a good coverage. However, on completion of our project, adjustments would be necessary. So one of the focuses of the study is about reorganizing public transport to tie in with the demand in West Kowloon, and we also looked into rationalization of bus routes. And another proposal is about environmentally friendly transport system, and there is a requirement for the environmentally friendly transport system in WKC to be self-sustainable. So we need to look into that. Another aspect is about car park management and loading and unloading management. WKCD contains a number of cultural facilities, so we anticipate that traffic would peak or would come in the district more or less at the same time, and our study aims at implementing efficient traffic management proposals. For example, for automatic gate access without the need for the use of parking tickets or octopus cards. That we can draw reference from some facilities in other countries. The other point is about coaches. Members last time mentioned that parking space for coaches are already quite tight in Tsim Sha Tsui, and we'll also look into this issue. In fact, in December last month, at the major tourist attraction points such as the Peak, the Bohemia Square, and the Asia World Expo, we also conducted a survey on demand for coaches and how long these coaches would stay there.
Such results will be analyzed, and then we will make recommendations accordingly. Another issue is the bicycles. Now, there is already a smart bike arrangement. It has been operating for about 8 months. As at the end of December, there were 17,000 users. if you take away the rainy days and also the low usage from Monday to Friday, and then at the peak periods there may be several hundred people using the bicycles. We're able to provide, we can only provide a short cycling track, and people just make use of the bicycles we provide for a year, for an hour or so. We have conducted a survey on the bicycle renters, or hires rather, and 80% of them are happy with the service. We asked for a suggestion for improvement. The answers they give will be put into the study, and then we will analyze the views and suggestions. And we also have to consider managing bicycles brought in by the users. And we will have to consider this. And that will also be taken into account in designing our cycling tracks. Another issue which is of common concern is marine access and also the landing points. In WKCD, there is a landing point in the typhoon shelter. They are landing steps. Near the Lyric Theatre, towards the south, there is a completed landing point, but it is not in use. You can see this from the photo. The design of the park and previous studies have considered possible landing points. These are the three options. We will consider these two instead of the other one on the left because of technical difficulties. We'll look into that in detail. On the 22nd, 23rd of November, during the Free Space Fest, we gauged the view of the users on taking a ferry to WKCD. We provided a free ferry service. There are landing points at the typhoon shelter, also at Wan Chai and Tsim Sha Tsui. There were 4,000 users or passengers. The consultant will also look at marine access demand, landing facilities, management of such facilities, so on and so forth. And finally, it is about the management of the basement and also public traffic, the traffic in the pavement, and also the emergency plans. This will be looked into. Well, by and large, that's my presentation. We hope that in the second half of the year, we will update members on public transport planning and operation, car park loading and unloading management. And after we have built a simulation, and then we will share with you the outcome of the simulation. Any supplement? If not, then questions from members. Priscilla Leung, Helena Wong, Frankie Yik Ho. 4 minutes each. Priscilla Leung. Thank you, Chairman. In 2010, we met with Mr. Zhang, and we proposed to Mr. Zhang that there could be a direct link between Austin Station and WKCD, and I'm happy to see that being implemented. As for the access to WKCD, I noticed that there will be bicycles. You also mentioned marine access. When I met the CEO, we mentioned the so-called water taxis. In fact, we made several recommendations concerning WKCD. With regard to access, it's not just about cycling tracks. It is very important that people outside the WKCD can walk to the WKCD if they live near the WKCD, even if they are unable to pay for these high culture and art activities. They can still go to enjoy the place. I think there should be enough pedestrian access, and also there should be landscape paths. And the pedestrian access should be safe. There should be segregation between pedestrians and bicycles. It said that there will be subways, pedestrian subways, and also there is an artistic square. Now we need to encourage local artists, and they can make use of such access or subways or footpaths to express their artwork. Whether there will be decoration of the walls, and also whether people can, say, perform. Now, as for the car parking spaces, some are of the view that the government, in order to increase the number of car parking spaces, and also count the car parking spaces of neighboring shopping malls into the total number. At least some people said that. I've also heard some views from ethnic minorities. They hope that in the future, the sports venue and also the performance arts venues can provide some time slots for them. They really don't have a lot of money to pay for a film. They hope that in the future there can be some time slots for them. And they also complain that there will not be enough or there are not enough car parking spaces. As for the tunnel across the WHC portal, will you provide a link with Route 3? So that there will not just be a single outlet. As for the footbridges, I hope that there can be adequate greening or landscaping. Now, some leases in the vicinity have certain conditions, and even the developers want to provide greening, they are not allowed to provide greening to the footbridges. Mr. Lina Wong. I'm concerned about car parking spaces and also traffic in general. The WKCD has an integrated pavement, and the vehicles come into the basement. I don't know whether there is only one entrance or not, or a single entrance or not. And and that's the question of whether there are enough car parking spaces in the integrated basement. Now, you also want to improve the electronic access so that there is no need to take out your octopus card. Now, if the entrance is not smooth and a lot of traffic is coming from from Route 3, then there will be a long queue when the vehicles are waiting to get in, and then that will be heavy congestion. I have to declare interest. I live on top of Kowloon Station. There aren't enough car parking spaces in Kowloon Station. If there is a big event, such as a countdown, there aren't enough visitor car parking spaces. And when they come, they may have to queue up a long way. And then they even block the entrance of the Toronto. The residents of Toronto are not able to get into their own car park because of the queue. You have to expect that there will be people parking in your car parking spaces, though they are not coming to WKCD. Now, originally there were about 3,000 car parking spaces, and now you cut the number to 2,000. Have you taken into account the present shortfall of car parking spaces in the area? And do you have any plan to deal with that? The WKCD representatives. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Wong. Yes, we have a big basement and also a big car park in the basement. At present, there are about 2,200 to 2,800 car parking spaces. Not cut to 2,000. But there's a big difference between 2,200 to 2,800. Is it 2,200, 2,800? Now, there's a range because of the design. According to the HKPSG, there is a range. The size of the residential units will affect the number of car parks, or car parking spaces, rather. We have to consider what's in HOR. Is it 60 square meters or 100 square meters? The demand for car parking spaces differ. So the 2,200 to 2,800 car parking spaces include the car parking spaces for the residents above. But the car parks for residents are not for visitors. How many visitor car parking spaces? Well, the residents' car parking spaces will not be used by the visitors, but I will speak on the sharing. Can I answer it now? I'll give you 30 seconds. The number of car parking spaces is provided according to the HKPSG. There were 3,000 odd, according to the calculation. But because of the land use, now the performance venues will only open in the evening, and the offices are open during the daytime. So there are two different peaks. So there can be a synergy for sharing car parks. As for sharing of car parking spaces, the car parking spaces of the offices and the performance venues will be shared, but the spaces or the car parking spaces for residents will not be shared. That's our concept. As for visitors' car park or car parking spaces, apart from resident car parking spaces, other car parking spaces in WKCD are public car parking spaces. CSFRD car parking spaces can also be used. But you cannot answer my question. Wait in the next round.
Mr. Frankie Yik. Thank you, Chairman. I also share what Dr. Helena Wong said. If you have a ticket, if you just arrive just before the performance starts, you won't get a space. I have this experience. So apart from the HOR space, you must tell us how many parking spaces will be available for the public. And about your presentation just now, there will be over 100 bus routes accessing the district. I don't know whether there will be any overlapping. I believe in future you don't need that much, because we have just 18 districts in Hong Kong, and 3 routes per district will be enough. Otherwise, according to your present arrangement, there will be huge traffic congestion brought about by buses. And there may be new technologies used at the gates, for example, RFID cards. But how can you compel residents to use RFID cards? At car parks sometimes there will be there is traffic congestion because there isn't sufficient balance at an octopus cart, and so please consider what you should do. Well, cycling is good because there is a big park. And apart from bicycles, will there be tricycles as well? Because families will come, so you need tricycles as well. Ferries. I'm not against ferry services or water taxis, but your recent trial with several thousand patronage is questionable. You must be careful about financial viability, because with a new facility, it may be more accessible. But what about the number of passengers? I had a meeting with the WKCDA on whether there would be sufficient patronage, because there may be other factors affecting it. Any response? Let's talk about the bus routes first. Mr. Yik talked about 100 bus routes. And also there will be stops along Jordan Road. Just look at Southern Centre in Wan Chai. It's really worrying. So are there really over 100 bus routes? Well, members may wish to refer to this slide. Definitely there will be overlapping. For example, a bus may go via Canton Road to To Hua Road, and here, it is shown here. So it doesn't mean that there is no overlapping at all. On parking spaces, I'd like to supplement that according to our previous studies and surveys, we conducted a traffic study and demand for parking within the district, and we had this sharing concept as a result. And we can save about 25% of the space for parking through the adopting the sharing concept. Apart from residential area, we can provide about 1,800 parking spaces for other facilities. Next, Mr. Ho. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask about marine access and pedestrian. From your information, I understand that for marine access, you're going to use large vessels or ferries, and I agree with Mr. Frankie Yik. I wonder if you really have several hundred passengers at all times throughout the day. Will you consider using smaller vessels such as water taxis, so that for those coming from Hong Kong Island or Tsim Sha Tsui, they can also rely on marine access? There won't be any waste because of using too large a vessel. On pedestrian link, pedestrians prefer at-grade roads than underground passage. But I see from the picture you have pedestrian footbridge and subways, etc. Yes, if you want to go to WKCD as your destination, you can use these facilities. But you don't have shops lining up on both sides of the bridge like what we have in the central market. So there is no interaction at all. So does it mean that you only have pedestrian footbridge and subway as the linkage? And we would like to know whether pedestrians can use at-grade roads to come in from the old districts. And it's quite a mess at the moment. I see that nothing has been finalized, so I wonder if more at-grade pedestrian facilities can be provided to access the district. And for those coming from Hong Kong Island, they would use cross-harbour tunnel buses. In fact, after getting off outside Western Harbour Crossing, there is a path to go to the Free Space West. But here, I see that there will be an orange underground passage. So please tell us, after getting off the bus, what pedestrian facilities you have, and that those facilities should be improved so that those coming from Hong Kong Island can have direct access to the park. I don't see how, when one gets off the bus at WHC, how he can walk directly to M+. Chairman, let me first answer Ms. Sitho's question on access from the bus stop outside Western Harbour Crossing to WKCD. On both sides of the Western Harbour Crossing, there are bus stops, and after a passenger gets off the bus, there is pavement from Austin Road West to WKCD, and in future there will also be a direct link to the Artist Square Bridge. There'll be an at-grade road and then a passageway to the square here. That will be for pedestrians coming from Austin Road West. This is an at-grade link, and as I said just now, on bus routes arrangement in the study, there will be recommendations on where the bus stops should be placed, and we'll report to members next time. Yes, Chairman, please ask him to give us information afterwards, because for Hong Kong Island residents, access is not convenient. Ms. Emily Lau. Chairman, I'd like to ask, say something about the environmentally friendly transfer system, and I'm all for it, but I don't know how you can actually implement this. Please tell us briefly about the operation model and how the whole system can be environmentally friendly. On marine access, as you know, over the years, I have been strongly supporting the idea. It's not the case that our people do not prefer marine transport, but the piers are being marginalized, and after taking ferries, passengers still need to take buses, so it's really inconvenient. About the ferries, will the service be free? Because if more people rely on marine access, then traffic congestion at grade will be eased. So please tell us the access points for marine access. Marine transport will need to wait for the consultancy study to be completed before we give you more details. Now, in WKCD, our piers or our marine transport facilities will be quite close to our facilities. For example, this landing step is quite close to the square, so it will not be, as you put it just now, very remote from the major facilities. But we still need to study the model of operation in future. We are collecting data at the moment. I'm asking about the destination of your marine transport. We need to consider and study the possible routes first. We need to wait for next time before we report to members. Well, you've been studying that for a long time and we're anxious. Please also respond to my question on environmentally friendly transport system. Also next time, so you're just telling us a number of concepts you have at hand. This is not quite right. For the environmentally friendly transport system, the e-buses, at the concept plan stage or the development plan stage, we floated 2 proposals, one of which is to have e-buses within the district. The other proposal is to cover outside the WKCD as well on the bus routes, alignment, service frequency, locations of bus stops. We need to discuss with the relevant departments first. So I'm afraid we have to report the progress next time. So who is going to operate the e-buses? Well, they need to think about it. Well, the concept plan, how many years has it been? At the time, Chairman, it was suggested that it will be small buses for shuttle services. Now larger buses will be used, and how are you going to rationalize with the other franchise bus companies outside WKCD? You should not just have environmentally friendly buses within WKCD, but I don't think the THB will discuss with you. Well, for example, if you approach the MTRCL, you can't discuss with them directly. You need to approach the THB first. And your chairman, your CEO, is unwilling to give any help. So things have been dragged on for so many years. So give us a timetable when you're going to conduct the study, when you're going to have any concrete proposal. You don't even have a timetable? Tell us. Now, as I said just now, next time, in the second half of this year, we're going to complete the study on the following aspects on public transport and car park management. So next time, we can report to members more details. Yes, if you have more specific details, please report to us. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. Well, the success of the WKCD hinges upon the transport system. Of course, past experience may not present the future picture, but for Free Space Fest, for example, it was really difficult for us to go in from the west for the Kowloon station because pedestrians walked onto the road and your staff just shouted at the pedestrians for them to go back to the pavement. So you need to improve pedestrian traffic interface, as you said just now, and I agree with it because that was a very unsatisfactory experience for pedestrians to walk onto the road and for your staff to shout at them. Now you have luxury residential developments and hotel facilities. Now we asked about parking facilities because at first you didn't tell us clearly for the 2,800 parking spaces, how will they be apportioned, and you just answered that there would be a sharing concept so that you can use the space, you can use the parking facilities whether or not you are visiting the residential area or just to watch a show. But for people in Hong Kong, when they go to a performance, very rarely would they drive. They can't drive when they go to Hong Kong, and you need to give ample time and arrive beforehand. Even for Asia World Expo, I don't know whether you have the statistics. How many of them drive?
As for WKCD, now for the venues I mentioned earlier, they didn't encourage people to drive there. As for WKCD, you feel that you have 1,000 to 2,000 parking spaces, which are likely to be open to visitors. Will you encourage the audience to drive there, or will you encourage them to go by public transport first and foremost? Mr. Lam, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Chan, in our traffic model, it is shown that among 100 visitors to WKCD, 8% will drive there. More than 90% will make use of public transport. The estimation on car parking spaces is based on this. Now, in fact, people are flexible. If I have a bad experience, say I have to wait for getting in when I drive there, then I better not drive there. As for parking spaces, the office, the residents will use the parking spaces, but this is not our concern. Our concern is about the audience. When they go there, say, when there is a big exhibition, a big show, when people drive there, will they cause a traffic congestion or a traffic problem? I think you really need to answer us after you've completed your study in the second half of the year. Next, Ms. Ellen Leung. One item of concern in respect of the WKCD is this. Will this development bring about the revitalization of Yau Ma Tei, Jordan, and the neighboring areas? I'm not talking on behalf of the developers. I hope that the old districts, that the people living in the old district will embrace this project. You need to provide a connection. Or rather, you need to provide an interface between the artists and also the consumers. 10 years ago, in 2005, we visited Bilbao. The new culture and arts district is in Apandabara, which is in front at the waterfront, and it brought about the redevelopment of Bilbao. In the old district, artists can take root, and people living in the old district are also connected by pedestrian links to the waterfront new district. Against this context, I have two questions. Has the WKCDA made reference to the report made by this council in respect of our visits to Bilbao, so that you can take a leaf from creating the ways and means of creating synergy between the old district and the new district? The second question is in relation to slide 15. I have an impression that you put more emphasis on vehicular link rather than pedestrian link. As for pedestrians, they come from the pedestrian deck and they also come from the elements. But you have not taken into account those from Yau Ma Tei, Jordan, Canton Road. How do people live there come to your district? As for the link with Yau Ma Tei, I think the Transport Department can supplement. Yes, thank you, Chairman. In the first quarter of 2013, the Transport Department completed a study on pedestrian links with WKCD, and there were two proposals. One link with Jordan MTR station, the other with Tsim Sha Tsui MTR station. This is the basis for the feasibility study of the next phase. In the 2013 policy address, there was a proposal in respect of an underground space study. And then in the 2014 policy address, 4 points were mentioned. One was Tsim Sha Tsui West for the underground space. And the underground space study has covered the two accesses we mentioned. Chairman, I know that time is up, but concerning the answer, it's obvious that the WKCDA has not considered my two questions. If there is any misunderstanding, I'm willing to ask the question a second time. Is there any member who want to ask the first round? We've already overrun with regard to this item. I hope that in the second round, members can be brief, 2 minutes each. Questions and answers. Priscilla Leung, Helen Wong, Frankie Yik, and Alan Leung. Thank you, Chairman. Now, concerning this drawing, we gave it to WKCDA in 2008. Access is very important. It's about the whole development. It's not just about myself. In fact, a dozen or so district councils work together. Greening is important. Pedestrian lane is important. We want landscape footpaths, if it is not landscape avenue. Elderly may not want to take a long haul to go to West Kowloon. They may want to take a walk. Now you have made the first step for Austin Station, but that is not enough. As for water taxis, I mean small boats, water taxis, not a big ferry, and I'm not happy with your photo, which shows a big ferry. The water taxis can go along the shore. Well, even overseas visitors would like to see our harbor by water taxis. In overseas countries, they make use of the harbor. They use it for tourism, use water taxis for tourism as well as for transport of the citizens. As for the ferries, if you want to use big ferries, then you really need to consider helping the operators. In Hong Kong, we lost a ferry service between Hong Kong and the Central. People like to take ferries. You can go from Tsim Sha Tsui all the way to Kowloon East. It's an enjoyable ride. If you want to use big boats, then you really need to consider giving assistance. I think your view has been heard. Helena Wong. Well, having a pier is not adequate. In Hong Kong, there are 2 piers, but there is no ferry service. I hope that at the next meeting, the chairman can arrange that the WKCD can talk to us. WKCDA can talk to us. If nobody is going to run a ferry service, will you consider running your own ferry service? The Star Ferry refuses to provide a link between Hong Kong and Central. Now, the government's policy is that it will not subsidize ferry service within the harbor. It will only subsidize ferry service with the outlying islands. I hope that at the next meeting you can tell us what is your position. Will the WKCDA run a ferry service? Now, your estimate of car parking spaces, 8 out of 100 will drive. When did you make the estimate? What are the spaces for doing that? Do you consider? Have you considered the behavior of the audience? Those who park here may go to the WKCD. They may park here and then go to use the express rail. Have you taken that into account? Some may go to the Elements, but the Elements is full, and then and some just park and ride, and some may go to the Kowloon station, and then the car park there is full, and then they park here. So even if people park at Kowloon station or at the Elements, they don't go to the Kowloon station or the Elements. They go somewhere else. So I have doubts about your estimate. You say 1,800 parking spaces we shared. I'm really worried. How will you share it? How many are hourly for hourly parking? How many are for monthly parking or daily parking? Will there be a PM session or evening session? How many for a PM session? How many for AM session? You better provide me an answer either in writing or before the next meeting. If people are waiting to enter the car park, if the car park is full, the whole West Kowloon will be congested. Yes, please give an answer in writing afterwards. Now, Ms. Yik, now concerning the hiring of bicycles, apart from providing bicycles, will you provide tricycles for rental as well? As for EFTS, why don't you consider trams? Modern trams are really good. You can even lay tracks on turfs. You don't need to the system to be high speed. A tram will be good. And then you need several connecting points, and then make use of the EFTS to go round and round instead of allowing so many buses going through your area. Well, I'll try to answer Ms. Wong's question concerning the estimate. The estimate was done in 2014. The number of car parking spaces for express rail. As for the express rail station, there is a top development and retail, 550. The station altogether about 1,000. Altogether 1,000 for the express rail station. Will you use trams? What is your EFTS? Will you use trams in your EFTS? At the next meeting, I will respond. Yes, the Vice Chairman. I want to use this 2 minutes to let the WKCDA to answer my 2 questions. Is there any strategic planning to link the waterfront with the old districts? Okay, please try to answer the question. WKCDA. Who is to answer the question? Well, do they understand my question? How would you make use? How do they make use of the waterfront? Is it the question? 10 years ago, we went to Bilbao because its development was very similar to our WKCD. My question is whether they have considered the experience of Abinda Borough, and how would you take a lead from that experience? My impression is that they put too much emphasis on vehicular traffic rather than pedestrian traffic, and they have not provided an interface between the artists and the arts consumers. Now, the representatives come from the transport sector, so they may not be able to answer your question. The WKCDA did consider the Bilbao experience at the consultation panel. They also discussed the experience. As for the making use of the WKCD to revitalize the old districts, in fact, M+ organized a number of activities in Yau Chim Mong, say M+ mobile exhibitions, made use of public space. Say they made use of the neon lights to do exhibitions in the old district. Now they will organize more culture and art activities in the old districts. But after the completion of the venues, they can do more outreaching and they can work with more local artists and make use of the space in the old districts.
Chairman, I want the Transport Department to consider this. When they consider facilities for pedestrians or traffic, please consider it as well. All right. I also have some comments to make on marine transport. I subscribe to the views of my fellow colleagues. Apart from using marine transport as a means of transport, it should also be a tourist facility for the WKCD. For example, you should use small boats to ply between WKCD and Tsim Sha Tsui East or Hong Kong Island for tourists to go sightseeing, because for WKCD visitors, not all of them are go there to watch a performance. And also, for major events, you may consider giving complimentary ferry tickets or boats tickets, so that after watching a show they can board the boat as well, and they'll be happy to take the boat or ferry if you have this facility, and it will be easy for you to assess the patronage, and it won't go to waste. And perhaps after a show you can use larger ferries to carry passengers to Central or to Tsim Sha Tsui to disperse the pedestrians, because nowadays piers are so remote. You need to walk a far distance, even to Wan Chai Pier. So you need to consider using it as a tourist facility at normal times, and then at the end of a performance show, you can give complimentary tickets to show goers. I think we have said much on this topic. If you want a third round, I'll just give you 1 minute. Frankie Yick, Priscilla Leung, Helena Wong, who else? No? I'll draw a line here. My question hasn't been answered. I asked twice about different types of bicycles. Will you consider it? Yes, Mr. Yick, you go first. I've already spoken. Will they consider other forms of bicycle? Yes, we will consider it. You mentioned tricycles, right? Yes, let me supplement. We already have tricycles because, as said just now, for children, we already have tricycles available. Priscilla Leung. I want to declare that I own a property in the district. Secondly, on water taxis, in 2008, if you've lost this, I can give you once again. This is some sort of taxis for tourists, and you see the word taxis. We're not talking about big ferries. Now, you used a picture of a ferry to represent water taxis, but I gave you this, and many of our suggestions have been incorporated. I hope you would incorporate this as well. You want residents in WKCD in West Kowloon to be happy, right? And you also want passengers of water taxis to be happy as well. Please consider the element of tourism when you develop marine transport. Dr. Helena Wong. I think the picture may be quite misleading. But this is a 2-day event for the Free Space Fest. We therefore needed larger ferries. The study would also cover what boat would be needed.
We're looking at all of this stuff. We're looking at all of this stuff in the context of this study. We'll certainly have a look at it. However, let me just stress, policy on water tax is not something we can dictate. We're happy to work with people, and indeed we've already had some initial contact with the Tourism Board to talk about a whole series of issues, including the issues of how we can extend special deals, special tickets for tourists and all of that. That's comprehensive management required for selling the district. So this is something we are working on. As we've said, we'll report back in due course when we've resolved some of these issues.
Well, if necessary, we can help facilitate cooperation and collaboration between authorities and bureaus. Dr. Lena Wong, once again, I request them to give us a reply in writing on parking facilities and their capacities in the basement of WKCD and the nearby area. In paragraph 6 of the paper, I see that this is the majority view of residents in West Kowloon. They'd like to have an underground tunnel linking the district directly to the West Kowloon terminus of XR. Here you say that there are technical difficulties, but does it mean that it's not feasible at all? Please give us a reply in writing or tell us at the next meeting what the technical difficulties are. I just came back from Osaka, and the underground connectivity is very good. They built an underground city, and we're going to talk about the integrated basement in a moment. It's outrageous why we spend so much money and we cannot provide this underground facility. A lot of questions remain unanswered. I hope that after the meeting, some of the questions may be answered in writing. Because we have colleagues representing the West Kowloon District, and they are very concerned. All right, next item. This is an item on the implementation of the WKCD integrated basement. Mrs. Fong from Home Affairs. Yes, at the last meeting, members asked the administration to give a briefing on the relevant funding or the timeline for the relevant funding applications for the integrated basement for the WKCD and for Zone 3B and Zone 3A as the funding approvals have not been given in time. Members would like to know the impact, and we're here today to brief members on the update on the implementation of the integrated basement timeline for funding applications as well as alternative funding arrangement. And my colleague in a moment will brief you with the aid of a PowerPoint presentation, the progress. Now, in relation to Phase 1 funding application, of $300 million. We've waited for quite some time, and approval is still outstanding. The administration, therefore, has discussed with the WKCDA on how to proceed with the works of M+ and the other facility, and there'll be a one-off funding arrangement for the commitment of the advanced works for Zone 3 project. But we also hope that when we proceed with Phase 2 of the infrastructure works in the middle of this year, we hope that funding approval could be given to the WKCDA as soon as possible. I stress once again that this is just an expedient measure because the WKCDA cannot cope with the financial commitment as a whole, and it is hoped that the LegCo would approve funding as soon as possible. And my colleague will brief you on the progress now. We have a number of slides for this presentation. on the paper. Would like to report to members the progress of implementing the WKCD integrated basement and the timeline for funding applications in coming years. And finally, the alternative funding arrangement, as mentioned by Permanent Secretary just now, for the first stage of design and advanced works of integrated basement. Now, let's recap on the importance of integrated basement. In January 2013, the CN Council approved the development plan for the WKCD based on the Foster concept. And the integral part of the DP is the integrated basement, which is to place roads underground to create a vehicle-free environment at grade, and sufficient grade space therefore can be provided for at least 23 hectares of public open space. As this is the backbone infrastructure of WKCD, 2 years ago, in the middle of 2013, the administration announced that it will take up the construction cost of the integrated basement. Now, as for the phasing plan, in 2014 at this subcommittee, the administration also announced that to tie in with the various completion dates of the facilities in WKCD, the integrated basements development will be phased. And it was also suggested at that meeting to upgrade the advanced works, or the first stage of design and advanced works of integrated basement to grade A project, and members did not object. And on the whole, there are 5 phases for the left-hand side. This is the Zone A, which is the M+ for completion in 2018. Next to it is 3B, Lyric Theatre with hotel, office, residential facilities. As we understand, for zones 3A and B, these are the primary zones for development in WKCD. As for zone 2A on the right-hand side, we have the second phase facilities such as the Medium Theatre, Centre for Contemporary Performance, and other HOR facilities. The development of which will be undertaken by developers, and the government will also apply for funding for reimbursement to developers for developing infrastructure there. There are also core facilities in the middle, the Grand Theatre, Musical Theatre, and Music Centre in Zone 2C. So these are the relevant zones. As mentioned just now, about the funding application for the first stage of design and advanced works of integrated basement, it was submitted to the PWSC in the middle of last year with a cost estimate of $304.5 million. Now, for the advanced works, they have to do with the foundation works and basement structures and associated works in Zone 3A, and the cost for design in Zone 3B, the Lyric Theatre. Now, for the first stage integrated basement works in our funding application papers, because M+ and the Lyric Theatre has a tight construction schedule. In August and October 2014, the foundation works for M+ and the consultancy contract for the design of Lyric Theatre already commenced, and as said just now, the government will proceed with the M+ foundation works and the advanced works for design for the Lyric Theatre in Zone 3B. And we're also looking at a number of issues. First, on interface with the XRL project, because for Lyric Theatre in Zone 3B, in the picture, highlighted in red, it contains a works area for XRL barging facilities, and we're discussing with the XRL on when they will hand over the site for construction in 3 Zone B to commence, and the target site handover date will be the 4th quarter of 2016. As for other areas at present, they are the works areas of the XRL.
According to the MTRCL, depending on the progress of the XRL, in the 2016 and 2017, the sites will be handed over to us in phases. And we will continue to liaise with the MTRCL to see if the sites can be handed over to us earlier. We are considering such possibilities. Another issue is this. According to understanding, the WKCDA is reviewing the design of the Lyric Theatre, including increasing the number of seats from 1,200 to 1,450 seats, changing the layout. After completing the technical feasibility study, the stakeholders will further consult it. As for the cost estimate of the integrated basement, in May last year, the administration reported our estimate in 2013, assuming that works start in 2014 and completed at one go in 2020. The rough estimated cost is $19 billion for the integrated basement. The public infrastructure works, including the road, underground road, is about $4 billion. That's for construction at one go. As for implementing the integrated space in phases, the cost will only be updated after we have more information. As for the timeline for funding applications in coming years, we have provided more details in the paper, and we expect that depending on the progress of works, we will apply for second stage of design, site investigation, advanced works. The tentative time is middle of this year, and for the integrated basement, $1 billion. For public infrastructure works, $1 billion. That's our rough estimate. And in making the application, we can provide more precise estimates. And then there will be construction of underground road and associated PIW at Zone 3A. The application will come in the second half of 2015. Construction of basement structures underground road and associated PIW at Zone 3B. We estimate to come to you in 2016-17. The cost is about $3 billion for the basement, and the PWI, or PIW rather, about $10 billion. As for 2B, construction of basement structures underground road and associated PIW, we expect to apply for funding in 2016-17. Rough cost estimate is about $3 billion and $1 billion, respectively. Just now, the Permanent Secretary mentioned that there was an alternative arrangement because the funding application for the first stage of design advanced work for integrated basement is still being considered. If there is any delay, then the cost will be at least $20 million per month. To save costs, we've made this special arrangement. The WKCDA provides an unconditional commitment for the first stage of design and advanced works for integrated basement. The administration therefore withdrew the funding application from the PWSC. The next step is this. in the middle of this year, depending on progress of works, we will apply for FC's approval for the second stage funding application, including the cost of advanced works for Zone 3A and the design of Zone 3B, and also together with the funding for reimbursing the WKCDA for the first stage of design and advanced works. Any supplement? If not, then I open the floor to members. Helena Wong. 5 minutes. Questions and answers. Now, the integrated basement is extremely expensive, altogether $23 billion. Now you come in phases. You want to get 3 billion, 300 million. Altogether, you will spend $23 billion. Will you come by 100 times? You get a few hundred million each time. The total bill is $23 billion by public money. Shouldn't we consider the functions of the integrated basement more carefully, apart from using it as an underground road system and also an underground huge car park? What are the justifications? It's hard to justify spending $23 billion. Do the $23 billion include the integrated, the basement shared by those developments marked in blue? They are commercial floor spaces, commercial buildings. Shouldn't they share the cost as well? How much should be borne by the public coffers among the $23 billion? Should we build the integrated basement for the HOR? Is it fair? Will they share part of the cost? Are we to subsidize the HOR developments with public money? Is it right to do so? As for the integrated basement, apart from the uses which are necessary and mentioned by the speaker earlier. Now, in fact, I went to Osaka during my leave. In Osaka, they had a very big underground city, so to speak. They can link up with the hotels. They can link up with the other facilities. They also have a lot of shops and also restaurants. So if you have an integrated basement, it can be for parking, it can be for shopping, it can be for restaurants. You triple or you double urban space underground, then you can recover your costs from the rents. You can recover from the rent the $23 billion. Who's answer the question? Let me make the first attempt, and then my colleagues can supplement. Now, the area marked in blue are HOR developments. According to the design of Foster and partners, they do have shared levels. Under the blue blocks, there are OACF managed by the WKCDA. So the government will build the integrated basement. And if the developers build part of the basement, we will reimburse the basement. It seems that we benefit the developers. But in fact, they have to the cost will be reflected in the land premium. So if we force them, we ask them to build the facilities, then that will be reflected in the premium as well. So it's better for the government to provide that. As for the integrated basement, they will be used for parking and public transport. And if we are to develop an underground city, then we will have to dig deeper, and that will also increase the cost. Emily Lau, Chairman. At the start, we approved $23 billion for WKCD. Now, we have to add another 50% or 100%. And we don't have the final number. They say that $20-odd billion or $26 billion cannot complete the whole WKCD. And we may have to pay more than $100 billion. But still, it may not be enough. We want a very good cultural district, but the spending is escalating. Now you just provide the money for a road and also for car parking spaces and nothing else. Now how can you share the cost with the developers? And you have to subsidize the developers. That's really a mess. $26 billion is about too expensive already. People are against it. Many people are against it. And now you are spending more and more and more. That's a heavy burden on the Treasury. At the committee meeting, you said that that was an extraordinary arrangement. The LegCo didn't approve the money yet. Therefore, you paid it first. Now you have already put in a foot. You've already got yourself in the mire already, and how can we refuse the funding? It seems that we are just, and the government is just like a cash dispenser. Now we need the integrated basement. We have adopted a design to provide more space on the ground so that there can be 23 hectares of park space. We therefore put all the roads and utilities underground according to Foster's concept, and therefore we need to build an integrated basement up to 1 or 2 floors. And therefore, we will incur a certain amount of spending. In the coming 2 to 3 years, we will apply for about $10 billion, $70 billion for the basement, and $30 billion for PIW. Without the basement, then the Foster's concept cannot be materialized. Roads will be put on the ground, and we will not be able to provide 23 hectares of public space. After 3 years of public consultation, we have adopted Foster's design, and we need the integrated basement. And therefore, we need the money. Well, if we were told that the cost will be $20-odd billion plus $20-odd billion, altogether more than $50 billion, the council may not, well, maybe somebody can still approve that. But in fact, they have hidden a lot of information from us. I find it really regrettable. You just provide parking spaces and roads. People cannot benefit. Other people cannot benefit from it. But you say you have a park, but the park will not be there if you don't build the integrated basement. But we were not told that it would be such an arrangement. And now you go you take the so-called easy way out, and now you paid the $3 billion first, and or rather $300 million first. And I don't think you should treat us this way. The Vice Chairman. Now the government officials present today were not the officials who were in charge of this project, but I still have to put it on record. During those years, at that time, when the decision was made, the Civic Party was against giving an endowment one-off to the WKCDA. The then CS4A, not the present one, said that the WKCDA would not come back for more money. $26 billion would be enough. Now we got the financial experts from the Hong Kong U to do the calculation. Those who were, and they said that the money would not be enough. Well, the administration insisted on the amount, that the amount would be enough. Well, all the undertaking was water under the bridge. The WKCDA should be a quality facility, and we should make the WKCDA an important attraction on the world map. Yet, I think the administration has to be honest to ask the council. Well, you may not have any alternative. You want to convince more people in Hong Kong to embrace this project and make people feel that the WKCDA is for the people of Hong Kong, for the overall culture and art quality of Hong Kong. It is an important item for upgrading our culture and art quality.
You want Hong Kong people to accept this project and then to pay up in advance. I think this is the logic. But on this arrangement, I wonder if the authority or the administration could explain more to us so that our council and our people would know very clearly your work by phases and how you're going to assess your work by phases, and whether you have any plan B or plan C, so to speak, if you cannot complete the work in time. So my question is whether the administration of the WKCDA has this in mind, that is to explain the whole plan to us, whether there is plan A or plan B or plan C. Deputy Chairman, are you talking about financial issue? Well, you want the subcommittee to support you, and you want people to support you by making more financial commitment into this project. Now, if this project fails, what will it turn into? I hope it won't turn from a tiger to a dog, so to speak. Well, I think last time when we reported to members of this subcommittee, we said that the commitment should be sufficient for Phase 1 and Phase 2 development. There will be a museum, a large park, and a performance venue, and the two facilities in zones 2A and B. And we're now focusing on the on zones 3A and 3B, the Lyric Theatre and the museum. And we hope that on completion of these two zones, whether or not the public prefer cultural performance or not, they can still enjoy the park and enjoy WKCD. So that's what we could achieve in 2018. Meanwhile, without in order not to further delay the project, we need to apply for funding here, and the WKCDA would like to have publicity and promotion as well, so that even before completion, members of the public will be given the impression that the WKCD project is working full steam.
I think this is right. We're not waiting for the buildings. We're already out there doing things like M+ matters. We're working with the local community, and we heard earlier comments about integrating within Yau Chim, Jordan, and Yau Ma Tei. We're doing that. That's part of our remit, and it's something that we're already engaged in. But we can't ignore the buildings. We have got to take them forward, and we have commitments in terms of contracts, which if we don't conform to those commitments in terms of the money that's available, not only will the price go up, and we've been told, for example, on M Plus it will be $25 million a month for substantial delays after a certain period, but there will be an inevitable consequence on the completion of those buildings. So the whole dynamic of our approach is to work in parallel on the software, which is very important, getting the community to buy in, to support, to understand what we're doing, and the hardware. And that we're certainly working in both, and that's why this is such an important application.
Okay. 咁我哋下一位啊，葉國謙。
Next, Mr. Yip Kok Kim. Thank you, Chairman. Well, as Deputy Chairman mentioned, it is the public's aspiration to see the completion of WKCD project, and we don't want to leave the site idle for too long, because this is a good opportunity for Hong Kong to promote promote arts and culture. Now, on the controversy of the sum $21.6 billion, well, at the time, I mean, since then, members have been following up on the issue, and I am also concerned about it. Since there is a government commitment, I think the government should also be accountable and explain to us. However, at that time, we already agreed that for the infrastructure part of the WKCD project, it will be undertaken by the government. After we accepted the design, at that time I already said that with underground roads, definitely the government's commitment and the construction cost would be huge. Either we chose to veto the Foster's design, and yet we didn't, so we need to do, we just have to accept it. On the suggestion of enhancing retail and catering elements, well, I think let's not revise the design any further. Let's follow the plan on which there is a consensus. I think this is most important as far as control of construction costs is concerned, because we see recently construction costs have continued to rise. On this funding application, I adopt a pragmatic view. We should consider where we can save money and how we can complete the project as soon as possible. As mentioned by Permanent Secretary, for a particular structure or commercial structure, you need to recover cost. I just hope that you would make sure that your construction work will complete in time. Because with delay in the XRL project, can you give us more information? P.S. Now, we try to make sure that works for the Xishu Center, Zones 3A and B, and the park will not be delayed, because they are not severely affected by the XRL's delay. As for the other part, we need to ask the MTRCL when they can hand over the site in Zones 2A, B, C to us. Now, we paid the 300 million in advance because we do not want a further rise in the construction costs of the superstructure. Because with a further month's delay, we're talking about an additional $25 million. So with 4 months delay, it will be $100 million. When we come back to LegCo for funding application again, definitely it will not exceed the $300 million, maybe even below that. Any other questions from members in the first round? If not, I have a comment to make. I think WKCD is a white elephant. It's a money-wasting white elephant. Originally, the $21.6 billion would cover everything, but now there'll be a $23 billion for the integrated basement. Now, $21.6 billion would only cover a quarter of the total cost. Now, my question for the administration is whether the money would be sufficient, or would you be coming back for more? Would 23 billion be sufficient? I need to ask my works colleagues because according to his presentation, the 23 billion estimate was based on works being commenced in 2014 for completion in 2020. But we haven't yet received zones 2A, B, C yet. We just go ahead with the integrated basement first as we wait for the site to be ready. Now, as we've prepare the timeline for development of different phases, we'll be able to come up with a more accurate estimate. And we need to wait for the tender exercise to be completed. And once we do that, we'll come back to this subcommittee and report to members. So definitely it will be over $100 billion. Now for the parts in blue, the hotel, office and residential, the HOR areas. How many percent are they in terms of the total of 200 or 23 billion? I think we could get some profit from the land sale. So roughly how many percent? Chairman, we don't have this breakdown as to how many percent the HOR marked in blue takes up, but as PS said just now, if we don't proceed with foundation works now, it will be reflected in the land price. Now for Zone 2B, for example, our strategy is that the developer will undertake the development of the basement there. For the $23 billion, we have the assumption that the government will undertake the development of Zone 2 or underground, the basement of Zone 2B as well. So the developer will prepare its own estimates in future, and we will prepare infrastructure underground for Zone 2B. As for the actual development, it will be undertaken by the developer. So it's much more complex than proceeding with the works in one go. In fact, there should be you should have your own estimates. So in future, please tell us what your estimates are, and you've also calculated land premiums, right? And you also have infrastructures to be constructed on your part. You're going to provide infrastructure like underground utilities, so on and so forth. So it's not the case that the whole basement of 2B will be developed by the developer. So give us some estimates. Second round, Dr. Len Wong and Deputy Chairman. 3 minutes. Deputy Chairman. So, having heard what's been said today, we are going to have Xixu Center and what's about zones 3A and 3B, M+, the Lyric Theatre and the park. And that's it. And that's the situation at grade. Well, I don't want this to happen, of course. I don't want the scale of the project to be reduced. Now, let's say we proceed with the integrated basement in zones 3A and B. Will it go to waste? Of course, I understand what you say. You sign some contracts and you need funding for that. And PS just mentioned that it's $20 million or so a month. So if there is a delay at grade, will the integrated basement be a waste? Chairman, if we have the financial commitment for construction of the integrated basement, the WKCDA will undertake the construction at grade. So in 2018, M+ will be completed, and in 2019 or 2020, the Lyric Theatre will be completed. So we definitely have these two. If the MTRCL can return the underground space to us, we can proceed with the underground infrastructure. And not for 2C, we have 3 facilities, and 2A, we have the middle theatre or medium-sized theatre. And at present, for these 2 facilities, we don't yet have funding allocation for that. For other facilities, however, definitely they will be built. Well, last time the WKCDA's CEO came and told us that these facilities will be completed by 2018. But my question is this. You have the number of facilities above ground. What about underground? The Foster's design is to have an integrated basement traversing different zones. Now, so you have 3 zones, 3A, 3B, and 2A ready. In the future, the administration will be coming again for more funding. Now, in slide 9, for example, $23 billion will be spent for the construction of the whole basement. Will it go to waste?
Yes, Mrs. Lee. The money wouldn't have been wasted. First, we have to build the basement first before we build the superstructure. And if we don't have money for 2B or 2C, then the road underground will go back, will return from here. All the basement space will be made use of. If you don't object, then we extend our meeting by 15 minutes. We have to go at 10:45 because there is the next meeting waiting. Helena Wong, 3 minutes. If I may follow up. The basement. Concerning the basement, I really hope that the administration will develop it into an underground city. There will be shopping facilities and catering facilities. You let out these shop spaces and you get revenue. And then you can justify the spending of $23 billion, not just for roads or car parking spaces. I hope you can produce a paper to look at the feasibility of this idea. You have not started your works yet. Anyways, you have to dig a basement. What is the marginal cost for digging deeper? After all, you have to dig up the area. Now, if you dig deeper, in the long term, you can have a revenue. Can you work out the sums to see if there is room for such a development? As for the basement, I hope there can be a detailed paper on linking the basement with the underground part of the Kowloon station. Otherwise, passengers will have to go up and down. Can there be the possibility of an underground connection with the Kowloon station?
This issue of the underground city. First, of course, I must point out that the design, the Foster design, was arrived at after a considerable amount of effort and included something like 3 years of consultation with the public about this whole concept. But the key issue is that, in fact, we want the people to be away from the traffic, not with it underground. Therefore, the whole concept, and if you can recall from the earlier slides of, for example, the Artist Square development, that area is intended to be a very nice open-air environment for people. Rather than forcing them underground into a troglodyte existence, which frankly is by far a second best option. So the whole concept is that you separate the two, as you can see from this slide. So the advantage of this is that instead of having to put in additional air conditioning, additional ventilation, etc., to clear all the gases for shops, for restaurants and what have you, you put all those above ground. And therefore the development is much more straightforward. I would also point out that by having the integrated basement, you're actually providing not just roads, but you have loading, unloading, and all the other facilities which are essential to service those above-ground buildings. So it is actually integrated for a purpose.
主席啊，我諗我個概念佢俾佢顛覆咗啦，即係我意思唔係即係話喺行車嗰度。
I think I'm not asking for shops near the roads. I just want another layer. Maybe you can give an answer in writing how much money you need for another layer. Mr. Kokim. Thank you, Chairman. Concerning this basement. Now, in selling the land, can you recover the cost for the basement? My understanding is that when you sell the land, the money will go to the government treasury. The money doesn't go to the WKCDA. Whether you sell the land for hotel or for office or residential development, the money goes to the public office. So can you recover the integrated, the cost of integrated basement, $23 billion? Concerning the important cultural facilities, we are concerned whether with the amount of money you can really build all of them. Can you provide more information on that? Just as I've said earlier, concerning the HOR developments, they are related. Say on the ground floor there are OACFs, and on top there are HOR developments. If you want the developers to build it, then they will recover the cost from the WKCDA or from the administration. It's better for us to build the infrastructure and the basement. If you ask them to build, then they charge on us. Now they will count it in their cost, and they will pay less on the premium. As for the public covers, I think we will not benefit the developers. I think everything will be reflected in the land premium. Well, I just want to know whether the cost will be reflected in the land sale. So the $23 billion will not be a subsidy or water under the drain. No, it will be, the land premium will be higher than having them to do the integrated basement. As for M+, we are confident that we can build it. Now the WKCDA has already earmarked the cost for construction, and they have completed the design. And with the completion of the groundworks or foundation works, together with the integrated basement, they will get the tendering for the superstructure, and it can be, there is little chance for delay. Because of time constraint, we have to draw a line there. No more questions after this member. The last one. I am a NED of the MTRCL. When we approved the $21.6 billion, what items were on the list? And when will the items be completed? When will the handover of the facilities be? Say, for example, the Lyric Theatre, the Grand Theatre, so on and so forth. What is the expected time for completion? How much delay is caused by the XRL? By how many months? By how many years? And how would that impact on the original design or construction plan. This is very important. And you may even claim against the MTRCL. It seems that you blame everything on the MTRCL. We need the evidence. In fact, the XRL is also built for the government on behalf by the MTRCL. How you come up with the $23 billion? Have you done any geological study? The underground conditions are very complicated. The administration always gives us unrealistic numbers. They can't finish the project by $21.6 billion. $23 billion can build many homes for the elderly, many schools, and many public facilities. If we are to spend $23 billion for an underground city, is it really worth doing? Is the WKCDA does the WKCDA has the ability to do the development? I think $21.6 billion aren't enough, and now they are asking for more. You need to explain to us why there is a delay, and now you have to change your plan. You have changed a lot. Why is it so? They owe us an explanation. They have to provide detailed papers on all these. Maybe the administration can give us the replies in writing after wording. What are the delays and what are the reasons for such delays? Ms. Emily Lau, is not your time. Don't interrupt me. It's not for you to answer the question. Now it's my time. There is only 1 second left. I asked the administration to provide the paper after the meeting. Our next meeting is the 23rd of March, 10:45 a.m. Thank you very much.